I can start 25 seconds earlier if I want to. And I did. Because I had a Bobo. Hi, Bo. He smells my dinner. Hello, Bo. Say hello to the internet, Bo. Say hi to the peoples. Hi, peoples. My name is Bobo. The baby bark boy. I poop in the floor. Yeah. This is his favorite toy. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, usually it's his favorite toy. Okay. We go chase it. All right, here we go. Here we go. Hi, how you doing? My name is Waldo, and I'm here to feel the politics with you. How is everybody tonight? I am doing great, thank you. It's a nice, chill 70 degrees today. It's been so nice today. I love it when it's chill and it's got the clouds over top and everything would be relaxed and not too hot. It's very, very nice. But Bobo is barking at something. Nobody's paying enough attention to him, so he's barking at everybody in the house to get more attention. That's what he does. He's a baby. In a bark play, that's what they do. So, hi. How's it going? I'm doing great. Let's talk about the politics and the news and stuff like that. Yeah, today is Wednesday, so I've got a whole list of links and posts and stuff to look at and talk about. If you want to talk about them, you can hop in a chat, tell me what you're thinking, tell me what you're feeling. Go onto this Discord right here. You can leave links. You can leave memes. If you leave a good meme, I'll put it up on the start screen, like right here. Oops, that's the wrong button. Right there, I'll put if you leave a good meme on the Discord, I'll put it up on that start screen. And then say thank you for it. It'll be a good time. So you can be involved. Or if you go into Twitch chat, the lovely robot will read your chats out loud.
Robot.
There she is, lovely robot lady. And that doesn't work for YouTube. And it doesn't work for Kick, even though I don't know if Kick is going to be around for very long. Did you guys hear the wild things that happened on kick.com? Apparently some people tortured a guy to death on Kick. It's a thing that happened. Nobody likes that except for the CEO was also watching it and donating to them as they did it, cheering and clapping them on. And so Kick itself might be in some trouble. So maybe it goes away. Maybe it sticks around. I don't know. It's where I get most of the wilder comments that appear on the screen for the crazy people. The Kick's just full of crazy people. It just is. It's the Wild West over there. And that's just how it goes. So you got to keep your eye on the Wild West. You got to keep the crazies in your sights so that you know where they are. It's a whole thing. Anywho, what is going on today? How about some delightful? How about we switch over to the window capture? We go here, we go there, and we'll watch an old man yell at his government representative. It's a good time. Let's watch that.
You talk about half-truths when I listen to you.
He's talking
you
to a
know
Republican.
Nothing about taking care of children because you've always had a really good-paying job. You know nothing about what a working-class citizen does. Come down here. Come down here and start trying to pay your medical insurance. Come down here and walk into Costco to try to feed your family, to feed your kid that's moved out, to feed your great-grandchildren. I had a very good job in California, and I'm able to feed my family, and it goes all the way to great-grandchildren. You're not helping me. Believe me, you're not helping me. You need to take your head out of Trump's ass and start doing your representation of us.
That was from Missouri, yelling at a Republican. Always very nice. Always good to start the the stream with good stuff, good news. So yeah, I'm just cruising around the internet, just looking at things, and I saw this absolutely insane thing from the Department of Homeland Security. This is a meme. I sure wish our DHS wasn't posting memes all day. It would be nice if they had, intelligent, properly educated people making intelligent decisions about the course of the country. But no, we don't have any of that. What we have is memers, goobers, who are posting memes and telling you what's up. What is this? Okay, so The Blaze said that Democrats are chanting in support for illegal aliens. Kilmar is our neighbor. You can't have him. Trump. Okay. Because they think that Kilmar Abrego Garcia is a human being who should have human rights. And the DHS is like, nah, we don't need people to have human rights. Didn't you know he's not a saint? He's not perfect. He's not actually an angel. That means he doesn't get human rights. And so they posted this nonsense, which is your opinion is dismissed because of this graph. What is this graph? Well, that is a graph created by like a sociologist scientist who found out what people think is important. We can get the full thing over here. Here's a better view of it right here. This is a heat map. So conservatives over here on the left have all the heat and the red right here, and it's very cold out there. Liberals, on the other hand, are cold in the middle and hot on the outside. So what are the rings? What is this? This is how self-centered you are. The heat map indicating highest moral allocation by ideology. Source data are provided a source data file. The highest value on the heat map scale is 20 units for liberals and 12 units for conservatives. Moral circle rings from inner to outer are described as follows. 1, right in the center, all of your immediate family. 2, second circle, all of your extended family. 3, all of your closest friends. 4, all of your friends, including distant ones. 5, all of your acquaintances. 6, all people you have ever met. 7, all people in your country. 8, all people in your continent. 9, all people in all continents. 10, all mammals. 11, all amphibians, reptiles, mammals, fish, and birds. 12, all animals on Earth, including paramecia and amoeba. 13, all animals in the universe, including alien life forms. 14, all living things in the universe, including plants and trees. 15, all natural things in the universe, including inherent entities such as rocks. 16, all things in existence. So you rank those as the things that are most important to you and most important to everyone and most valuable and important. Conservatives, here on the left here, are self-centered. They're more interested in themselves and their immediate surroundings. Liberals, however, are more interested in the big picture. The world is more important than one person. That's what they're saying with this thing. The universe is more important than one planet. All of the mammals on the planet are more important than just my family. Conservatives don't think that. They're very self-centered. That's what this is. This is describing self-centeredness. And I noticed it and brought it up because I've been complaining about the conservatives for a while now. As usual, I always complain about them. But I put out a couple of videos the last couple of videos that I had I put out were really complaining about them and yelling about them and calling them names and suggesting that they are based on hatred. And I think that's still true. And I'm going to complain about them a little bit more today because no reason not to. They are the source of the issues that we have right now. The people who are voting for Donald Trump and supporting him are bad people. If you're supporting him today, you can't be a good person. You're either ignorant because you don't know what's going on, you don't know what he's doing in your name, and you're supporting him out of just sheer ignorance, or you are blinding yourself, intentionally, willingly lying to yourself, to the people around you, to make the things he says seem good. They're not good. He is a bad guy, and he's doing bad things. He's destroying the country. He's harming all kinds of things that we need to have a functioning society, and he's harming them for his own profit, for his own benefit, and for his own power. And if you're blinded yourself to that, you're also not a good person. I mean, that's all there is to it. I'm tired of pretending that that the conservatives are just misunderstood. No, they want bad things. They want bad things for you. If you aren't one of them, they put you in a lower class. They want you to be a lower class citizen if you're not one of them. If you're not a straight, white, cis, het male married to an opposite gender person with 2.5 kids living in the suburbs, you are a second-class citizen.
My man is streaming on a Wednesday.
My man streams every Wednesday, Killer Mac. Literally every Wednesday for years. Welcome to the show, though. Thanks for coming. I had one of your memes up on the start screen the other day. It was the clanker barrel. But it has been replaced.
It's only my 6-month anniversary.
It's only his 6-month anniversary. I know, right? So yeah, I'm complaining a little bit about conservatives, but I usually do. That's my jam, man. That's what I do. And
hell yeah! Thanks for putting up clanker barrel.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was a good little meme, and anybody else watching could be as cool as Killer Mac if they go to the Discord and leave a cool meme. If you do that, you could be as cool as him. Maybe. If it's a good meme. Do you have that in you? Could you do that? Anybody? I don't think you could. I don't know. Maybe no one will ever be as cool as him. What the hell else was I doing? Oh, yeah. Look at this guy. This is a cool guy. Speaking of cool guys, there's a cool guy. We could have had this guy every day. Don't forget what they took from us. Okay, we could have had this guy.
I tell you, the privilege of my lifetime was stand beside someone we know was the most qualified and would have been a fantastic president in a President Harris. And look, we wouldn't wake up every day to a bunch of shit on TV and a bunch of nonsense. We would wake up to an adult with compassion and dignity and vision and leadership doing the work, not a man-child crying about whatever's wrong with him. May his fat ankles find something today. Petty as hell.
Could have had that guy. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't it be great to see him on a daily basis rather than who we have now as vice president, Jonathan Vance. That's his full name. That's what the JD stands for, Jonathan Vance. We have to see him and his guy liner. It's gross. We could have this guy. We could have had this guy. He's much better. I like him a lot more. You like him a lot more. Don't lie to me. Nobody likes JD Vance. Not even Republicans like JD Vance. Nobody likes him. Are you aware of our current fascist takeover? Well, it's continuing. Donald Trump is waging a fascist takeover of the United States. Democrats are responding in the only way they know how, by heeding the advice of the wonks who helped get them into this situation and whose advice is going to avoid discussing what Trump is doing. So this is very fun. I can't click on the full Rolling Stone thing because they don't let you read their articles. Information should be free, and I don't like it. So steal everything you can from them. Pirate everything you can from them. I'm absolutely telling you, yes. Don't pay for the New York Times. Pirate that shit. They don't deserve your money, honestly. You could save it and give me tips. Blue Rose Research and the firm led by Democratic establishment darling David Shore produced a memo earlier this month digging into the effectiveness of various messages relating to the Trump takeover of Washington, D.C. The firm advised that messaging around Trump's rising authoritarianism, in quotes, was highly unconvincing. Christ almighty, it's highly unconvincing. While messages that say Trump wants to distract from his damaging tariffs and horrifying Medicaid cuts were more effective. Meanwhile, Republican messaging about how Trump is clamping down on gang violence tested through the roof. The August 15th memo, a copy of which was reviewed by Rolling Stone, could explain at least partially why Democrats haven't exactly been going to the mat over Trump sending the military out to the national capital and threatening to do the same in other liberal strongholds. Because The Dems are paid not to move left. They're paid not to. I would like them to, but they're paid not to. The consultants are paid by the super PACs. The super PACs pay the consultants. The consultants then put out the numbers and the words that the Democrats should use, and they use that, and that leads to more super PAC funding. And then more super PAC funding means more money for the consultants, and the consultants get more money. You see, if you moved to the left, you wouldn't get any money. There's no money in it because you're going to be anti-capitalism. You're going to be against capital accumulation. You're going to be pushing for the proper nationalization of certain industries, and those industries will lose money. They'll stop being a profit-driven organization, and they won't be able to make shit tons of money anymore. So moving to the left makes less money, makes the world a better place. It makes your country better. It makes the America stronger. It makes your people happier, healthier, and more secure, but it doesn't make money. No. It doesn't make money. No. We need to move to the right to make money. So the very difficult trick that they have to do is convince the Dems to stand still and then just allow the right to move to the right, and dragging us to the right. That's the country we live in right now. This consultant is probably not talking to regular American people. He's not talking to that guy. That guy was
Cheap
probably...
viewers on streambo.com. Remove the space at Q7OFC.
See, this is what I'm talking about. This is the capitalism running amok that I'm talking about, man. Can't even complain about capitalism without a bunch of robots coming in here trying to sell me more robots. That robot's trying to sell me a bunch of other robots. It's messed up, man. Robots shouldn't sell robots like that. It's like a black guy selling slaves. It's disgusting. Anywho, consultants, they suck, and they're driving us to irrelevancy. They're driving the normies to the middle, the Democrats to the middle, and then the left gets high and dry, and then the Dems are paid to attack the people on the left. They're paid, and they make more money if they attack the people on the left. Your Zoran Mamdanis, your AOCs, your Bernies, sometimes your Elizabeth Warrens. They would do better for America, but we don't get them because they don't make the money. And if you don't make the money, the DNC doesn't help you, and the DNC is all about making that money. And so what we get is this half-assed complaint, this mediocre response to actual fascism. Real, actual authoritarianism is happening now, and the Dems are quiet, most of them, unless it specifically affects them and they're not up for re-election. Most of the Senate doesn't care. Most of the people in the House aren't talking that much. J.B. Pritzker, we're going to look at him in a minute, but they're coming directly to his state. He is a governor, which means he has more power and authority than like a state representative. And he is going to run for president. Gavin Newsom, also running for president, saying things about it and doing things in California, in his state. Great. I'd rather all of the Dems were pissing and screaming about this. They should all be angry. They should all be marching in the damn street. They should be marching in the goddamn White House. I want them to do something? Yeah, I do. I want every single fucking senator in the White House telling him to stop this fascist takeover, telling him to stop doing this. What is he going to do? Arrest you? Good. Then you'll be a fucking hero. The people will see him arresting his opponents, and they'll notice. Instead of this half-assed doing nothing.
January 6th to Electric Boogaloo.
Right, but they're allowed to be there. They're senators. I'm not saying they bring 1,000 insane people like Waldo. I'm not telling them to bring a bunch of leftist commentators and streamers and random goobers from the street. Senators. Go there. Don't leave. until he decides to make them go away, or he arrests you.
Gotta up the ante in the sequel.
Yeah, exactly. See, and they are allowed to be there. And if they get hurt, then we'll cheer them as heroes. And we'll talk about how smart they are, how great they are. But instead, we're getting nothing from most of the federal Dems. Nothing. Just nothing. They're saying, oh, yay, we're going to get rid of crime. And this thing even tells them to do it. Read that halfway down. Meanwhile, Republican messaging about how Trump is clamping down on gang violence tested through the roof. It's because you let him lie to you. Is Donald Trump clamping down on gang violence? No, motherfucker, he's not. None of that is true. The troops in D.C. are not lowering crime. That's stupid. Crime was already low, and then he put them there and is going to take credit for it because you let him get away with it. The news media lets him get away with it because they need to make money too. They're in the capitalist hellscape along with us. And if they lose 1% profit, they're fucking ruined. And they will have to go out of business, and they can't have that. So they will also just do whatever makes them the most money, which means not pissing off Donald Trump. Pissing him off makes the entire government attack you. The DOJ starts investigating you and making up false claims and suing you. And then you have to settle out of court. You don't have to. But they're gonna, because he's weaponized the government. You know that thing that he pissed and moaned and cried about for the Obama when Obama did it, and Obama didn't do it. Obama suggested that the group called Taxed Enough Already, when they applied for tax exemption, should be investigated by the IRS. Which makes sense. I hate taxes. I'm never going to pay taxes. Taxation is theft. I built an entire political movement around taxation is theft, and my group is called Taxed Enough Already. And I walk into the IRS and I give them a scribbled form with a bunch of crayon on it and tell them I don't want to pay taxes anymore because of this form. They're going to investigate me. That just makes sense. That's common sense. But the conservatives screamed bloody murder about that, said that he was weaponizing the government against his political enemies, which he wasn't. And now they're doing it. So that's why I hate the weak-kneed, wimpy liberals. If you do anything, even according to the rules, as a liberal, sorry, I'm still coming up, I'm down from a cold. The Republicans will call it overreach. And when the Republicans overreach, the Dems say, there's nothing we can do. We can't help. We can't do anything. You should have voted for us more. And then we end up in fascism. We end up where we are right now. We end up moving to the right when the right is in charge. We end up standing still when the Dems are in charge. And then the right takes over again. We move to the right. And then the Dems take charge. We stand still. It's the ratchet effect. What other links do I have today? What other links did I have to look at today? Oh, yeah, and I like this one. Rigging the midterm is just the beginning. Trump's war on voting rights is part of a long game that aims for the eventual creation of a one-party state. This is absolutely correct. I think this is entirely what he's going for. With the midterms more than a year away, President Donald Trump and his enablers have launched a new war on voting rights. Its immediate target is November 2026. Its ultimate goal is the institutionalization of one-party control of the federal government. The political final solution is the last step in MAGA's quest to extinguish liberal democracy in America. The war is being fought along legal and political fronts that stretch across the marble halls of the Supreme Court. Trump's executive orders, Steve Bannon's seedy podcast, the transformation of ICE into the latter-day Praetorian Guard, threats to invoke the Insurrection Act. So yeah, the ICE is going to be in front of your polling place. And Donnie's going to cancel all the mail-in votes. So you're going to have to go there and make it past the ICE Gestapo if you want to vote. And if you got brown skin, they're going to hassle you. They're going to ask for your papers. They're going to demand to see your driver's license, and they're going to detain you if they think you look foreign. The Supreme Court Voting Rights Act and racial gerrymandering. We all know about the gerrymandering, stuff like that. California's doing it. Texas is doing it. Texas and California, yep. Even with courts rule against non-black plaintiffs in Calais, it's given that the blessings to another method of election rigging known as partisan gerrymandering, the practice of drawing state voting districts to benefit the political party in power. 2019, by way of 5-4 majority, opinion penned by Roberts, Rucho v. Common Cause, the court held that partisan gerrymandering, no matter how disproportional or extreme, presents a non-justicable political question that lies beyond the jurisdiction of federal judges to alter or correct, which means the judges don't have a say. And if you don't like the red state gerrymandering, hire some blue people, vote for the blue people, but you can't because they cheated. The red team cheated at the rules, and now you only get red representation. Sorry. Guess you should have voted better last time in the past. Can a judge fix that? They should, but they can't and they won't, and because they don't want to. Because they don't want to. It wouldn't surprise me if this same court flopped the other way 4-5 to stop California from doing it, but allowing Texas to do it, and Gorsuch and fucking what's his name, the damn stupid Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh will just make up something stupid. He'll just jibber jabber for 10 fucking minutes about freedom and bald eagles or some dumb shit like that, and say that Texas is allowed to gerrymander and California's not. Won't make any sense and won't be connected to anything in reality, but it won't matter. He doesn't care about reality or what's correct. Let's see, the executive orders, proclamations, and rants emboldened by the Supreme Court's 24 Roberts' authored decision on presidential immunity, Trump versus United States. Trump has made good on his pledge to be dictator on day one of his second term, releasing a torrent of autocratic executive orders and proclamations. These include the executive order issued on March 25th with the Orwellian title Preserving and Protecting the Integrity of American Elections, which it does the opposite of. So that's why it's Orwellian. We read that one when it came out.
A lot of day ones.
Yeah, there were. Among the orders, many directives is a requirement for voter ID to prove citizenship, and a prohibition on counting mail-in ballots that are sent by election day but delivered afterward. So they hate mail-in ballots. They want them to count less. Every little mail-in ballot that they can shit on is another win for them. On April 24th, Federal District Court Judge Colleen Kohler-Cotley, a Clinton appointee who sits in Washington, D.C., issued a preliminary injunction blocking the ID requirements and other provisions, noting that our Constitution entrusts Congress and the states, not the president, with the authority to regulate federal elections. So the states decide how their elections go, not the president, but he doesn't like that, and he's not going to stand for that, and he's going to keep putting out executive orders about it, and some of the states are going to go for it, some of them aren't. The 2026 election is going to be chaos. Intentionally, willingly, Donald Trump will make it chaos. Nobody's going to know what's going on. Half the rules are going to be under sued upon. Half of the rules are going to be sued by the right. The other half are going to be sued by the left. Nobody's going to know what's allowed. Nobody's going to know what's legal. Nobody's going to know what's not allowed. ICE is going to be standing outside. They're going to be hassling people. They're going to be arresting people standing in line. And then the conspiracy theories will start. If every time a Republican loses, the Dems cheated, and every time a Dem loses, it's because the Republicans broke the rules and this executive order dicked up the whole process. It's going to be a mess. I should have said boogaloo. Blue-galoo. Blue-galoo. No, I got you. Blue-galoo. Because they're the blue team. So yeah, the 26th election is going to be a fucking chaotic mess. I'll be here to watch it. I hope you're here with me to watch all of it, and it will be just a shit show. And Donnie will come on the screen the day after that election and tell you what's true. He'll just tell you what the results are. He doesn't need a count. He doesn't need arithmetic. He doesn't need poll numbers or percentages. Fuck all that nerd shit. He will tell you who won based on his vibes, based on the feelings that he has about that area. Lots of hard-working, middle of the road, right-wing Republicans in this zone, in this district. They clearly won. He's not going to need anything else. Just he's going to tell you who won, and everyone who disagrees with him will get sued. And the people who actually won and had the most votes will sue, and then they won't get elected. They won't get put in place by the red state governors. The red state governors are going to be in on this. They're going to make it as hard as possible for anybody who isn't also on the red team to win. They're going to jam up the process. They're going to slow it down with lawsuits. They're going to hop onto Donald Trump's bandwagon and say, well, that doesn't count and this doesn't count. And they're going to make up a bunch of bullshit. And then the new media, the Tim Pools, the right-wing grifters who go to the White House now, because they go there now. The, what's her name? The Nazi lady, not Pam Bondi, but the other one, Cara Lying-Levitt, does like a press conference with the regular press. And then she does a second press conference with right-wing grifters, internet trolls. And she tells them what to say and they tell her what to say. They all share.
Nazi lady isn't specific enough in this admin FRFR.
I know. It does not narrow it down. It narrows it down by half. Because, well, more than half. Because 3/4 of his stuff are guys and 1/4 are ladies. So it lowers it by 3/4. So the Nazi lady. But yeah, she talks to the trolls. She talks to the grifters. She talks to the literal paid liars. And that's what they are. Paid liars. Because telling the truth does not make you much money. It really doesn't. Lying. That's where all the money is. Telling bullshit. Lying to people. That's where you make your money. She tells them what lies she's working on, and they tell her what lies they're working on. And they have a little brain trust. They have a little brainstorm. And if they have invented a really good lie, she'll repeat it. And if she invents a really good lie, they'll repeat it onto the internet. It's a whole thing. And they'll invent conspiracy theories. They'll invent boxes of ballots that didn't get counted and bamboo DNA and markers that bled through for one candidate and actually marked a different one. And this unmarked van stole a bunch of ballots and this unmarked van dumped a bunch of ballots. And then the mail-in votes will get set on fire. They were set on fire last year. One of the mailboxes got set on fire. It was full of votes because they hate mail-in voting and they hate you. And they don't want things to be fair. They want to win. And they've already won. They got Donnie in there. And if he's in charge, when all the chaos happens, he's at the top of the ladder and he can say what happens down the ladder. And he will. And he will tell you who won in every district. It'll be the red team. Let's keep reading, though. The impact on women. The election law changes demanded by Trump and the GOP will also undermine the voting power of women. According to Pew Research, despite the Democratic Party's declining approval ratings, women remain 12 percentage points more likely than men to affiliate with the Democrats than the men. Exit polling conducted by CNN after the last election found a similar gender gap, showing that women nationwide voted for Kamala Harris over Trump by 10% margin. Black women in particular have been the most reliable supporters for the Democratic Party 2024. Women also hold liberal values, men, and on a variety of key political issues. And the reason that this is going to dig them up is because their name changes. So if they get married or unmarried, their name changes. They change their last names often. So if they registered to vote and then they change their name and they go to vote and they bring some of the IDs proving that, the poll worker might still throw them out because it's a different name. Even though you have the marriage license and the name and your birth certificate and your driver's license, stuff like that, they might still kick you out because they don't want them to vote. They want to hurt them. They want to take their voting rights away. Half of the fucking Republicans don't think women should vote anyway. Steve Bannon and Ice on his War Room podcast on August 19th. Right-wing fulminator Steve Bannon upped the ante in the voting rights war, calling for the deployment of ICE to monitor polling places to ensure that if you don't have an ID, if you're not a citizen, you're not voting. We already don't have this problem. Illegal voting hasn't ever happened. It's not a problem. It doesn't happen. It's a fiction. It's a fiction that they tell you, scream at you at the top of their lungs, in front of every camera that they can. They scream about it, and it's not real. It's not true. And they keep screaming it, and they keep taking away your rights to solve a problem that isn't even real.
If you Google Fulminator, the first result is a Magic Card XD.
Fulminator. It sounds epic though. It does. It's I play the Fulminator, and then you're like, you activated my trap card. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! I know, but it is, of course, illegal under federal law to deploy the military or armed federal troops to a polling place as monitors or observers unless they are needed to repel an armed invasion. A section of the U.S. Code makes it a felony punishable by up to 5 years in prison to do so. The Voting Rights Act also prohibits federal agents from intimidating voters, and the Posse Comitatus Act generally prescribes using the military as civilian law enforcement. Proscribes. Says don't do that. These safeguards could be easily circumvented by an ICE army that will be 10,000 strong by the midterms simply by staging high-profile immigration enforcement operations anywhere in blue cities on Election Day. The intimidation effect would be palpable, and they will run immigration raids on that day. They'll find places early in the morning, and they will go and they will harass them. They will go and try to raid people, even if they know they're not going to catch anybody. Even if you know you're a citizen and you know you've been born here and you have always been a citizen your entire life, but your last name has a Spanish sound to it, they will stop you. They will harass you. They will keep you from getting to the polls. They will slow you down. Someone you know might get arrested by accident. And then you have to go and help them get out of jail instead of voting. This is going to happen. They are going to suppress the vote in blue districts, in Latino areas, intentionally because they hate them. And I'm using that line a lot over the past couple of days, and I'm going to keep using it over the rest of this stream. They hate them. They do not want good things for them. They do not respect them as human beings. They aren't doing this out of the kindness of their heart or to make the government or the world a better place. They're doing it because they don't like them. Sorry, I have a cute, adorable little puppy dog right here. I was going to grab him, but he ran. There he is. You see him? There he is. It's hard to rant about hatred when you have a puppy dog. But I can do it. Okay? I have enough hatred in me. I'm trying to grab him, but he's wary. He knows that I want to grab him and put him up on the screen, but he doesn't like it. I'll be right there. Little bubble break. So yeah, that's going to make everything worse. Let's keep reading. What else we got? And then the Insurrection Act, the final solution. Should all the other options for election rigging appear unavailable, and I think they're going to do all of these things, Trump will have one final card to play, declaring a national emergency and invoking the Insurrection Act. to delay or even suspend the elections. The act provides an exception to the prohibitions of the Posse Comitatus Act, and as the Attorney General Pam Bondi and the Justice Department will no doubt argue, all other federal statutes. Trump threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act in 2020 in response to the George Floyd protests, and again this past June in response to protests in Los Angeles. He caused that response. He sent the troops there. The people came out to protest. They wouldn't have done that protest if you hadn't sent in your Gestapo. He's causing the protests that he can then say are an emergency. Never in American history has the act been invoked to disrupt an election, but if Trump feels sufficiently threatened by a potential loss of power, there's little reason to believe he would not choose to become the first, nor can we count on the Supreme Court to try and stop him. In the end, as always, the fate of the American experiment with democracy will depend not on our institutions, but on our collective will to preserve it at the ballot box and beyond. Each of us has an obligation to spread the word and peacefully resist in whatever way we can. So yeah, I think this is spot on. Who wrote this? This was written by a cool guy named Bill Blum. Well done, Bill Blum. Good job. And I think all of those things are going to happen. Not just one or two of them, but all of them. And it won't be easy to see. It'll be 1,000 little problems at 1,000 places, and that will be harder to coordinate. That will be hard. It'll be not coordinate, but it'll be harder to protest against. I'll bring you a dozen stories and a dozen links of a dozen things going wrong, but there's 200 that I didn't cover, and then the news won't cover it. They'll ask questions. They're stenographers now. They're not going to challenge any of the people that are there. They're not going to tell you that it's bad to have troops standing outside the polls. They're just going to point the camera and say, there are troops at the polls. Make of that what you will. I don't know how to feel about that. How do you feel about that? They're not going to tell you that it's wrong and illegal and voter intimidation and fascism. And then when you see the ICE agents dragging people out of line to vote, the news media won't tell you that it's wrong and what they're doing. We've got some reports that someone somewhere got dragged out. We're not sure. They won't tell you what's actually going on because they can't. They're not allowed to. What are we talking about? We're talking about money. That's what I'm thinking. Going over to the Discord. That's what we're talking about.
Discord.
There's a Discord. Go on over there. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what you're feeling. Chat with people in the Discord.
It's voter suppression. People won't even show up with the military there.
Right. And there are people who are Americans and have the right to vote, and they won't show up because they know they have a Hispanic last name. And that ICE might be standing around outside there to arrest them, even if they are entirely innocent. Getting arrested and spending a day or two in an ICE holding facility could lose you your job, especially if you're poor. Poor people working on minimum wage. If you miss a shift, your ass is fired. And that's what they want. They don't want people to show up to vote. They don't want and you won't see any of this in the white neighborhoods. No. They're not dumb. They know that it won't be there.
Red hats will walk in with their family and their chin in the air.
Absolutely. They live in the white part of town, so they will vote for in their district, wherever they are. And they will have lots of voting machines, and they will have lots of voting papers, and they will have a very fast line that works very well. And then when you go to the other parts of the part with the black and the brown people, or the liberal areas, they'll have fewer machines, fewer vote numbers, and ICE will be there to detain them. And if you pass out water while people are waiting in line, you go to jail, and ICE will do that too. And then the National Guard will be there to look over the whole thing. It's going to be a shit show. It's going to be bad. It's going to be chaos, and it's going to be severely illegal. And there's nothing you can do about it because the DOJ won't take up the charges. If you sue the government, the DOJ is going to go against you. And they have all the lawyers, the power, and half of the fucking judges. It's not going to go well. it's going to go very badly. And they have this dipshit. Who's this dipshit? That's Howard Lutnick. He is a dipshit. I want to say the R word, but I'm not allowed to say that on Twitch. So he is a dipshit. So anytime I say the word dipshit, that's what I'm talking about. He's talking about nationalizing the companies.
What about defense companies, though, Secretary? Why shouldn't the U.S. government say, you know what, we use Palantir services, we would like a piece of Palantir. We use Boeing services, we would like a piece of Boeing. There are a lot of businesses that do business with the U.S. government that benefit by doing business with the U.S. government. I guess the question is, where's the line?
Oh, there's a monstrous discussion about defense. I mean, Lockheed Martin makes 97% of their revenue from the U.S. government. They are basically an arm of the U.S. government. They make exquisite munitions. I mean,
exquisite munitions? Fuck this guy. But let's stick on track. Stay on track, Waldo.
Amazing things that can knock a missile out of the air when it's coming towards you. But what's the economics of that? I'm going to leave that to my Secretary of Defense and the Deputy Secretary of Defense. These guys are on it and they're thinking about it. But I tell you what, there's a lot of talking that needs to be had about how do we finance our munitions acquisitions. I think a lot of that is talking. And now you have the right people in the jobs and Donald Trump at the head thinking about what is the right way to do it.
Join the Discord to send links and suggestions. https://discord.gg/Jetritz8.
It's Roughly Robot. Thank you.
It has been done, has been a giveaway.
It has been a giveaway.
Has been a giveaway.
It has been a giveaway. That's the important bit there. What he's describing is the government takes in tax money from you, from me, from everyone. They take in that tax money. They give it to Lockheed Martin, who then builds bombs, builds missiles. And then the Lockheed Martin, in exchange for that money, gives the missiles and bombs to the government. Now, he calls that a giveaway because he works for Donald Trump. In Donald Trump's brain, if you give money to someone for a service, you need to take that money back somehow. This is the trade deficit all over again. This is the trade deficit with the countries. We gave them money, they gave us stuff, and now we need to get that money back. This is how he thinks commerce works.
Bobo Angie.
Yeah, he is. They're antagonizing him down there. He is a bark boy barking it up. So yeah, you have to give money to Boeing, get the bombs, then get that money back from Boeing somehow, or else you're in a deficit. You're in a trade deficit. They didn't give you any money. So Donnie wants to take their companies. He wants to take part of their companies. He's already taken 10% of Intel. We Americans own Intel now. Is he going to use that for the betterment of human beings, for the people of America? No. God, no. He's going to give it to one of his friends or keep it himself.
Can I cash out now?
Nope. It's his to do with as he pleases. And giving you the ability to cash out any of it would not please him. It would please him to give it to his friend, or to keep it himself, or give it to one of his kids, which is what he's going to do with it. That's what this sovereign wealth fund is all about. If you hear anybody talking about a sovereign wealth fund, that means a giant pot of money that Donnie gets to play with, and nobody has any control over, except for him. And he's going to take it with him when he leaves, or gets or leaves, or gets reelected, or gets impeached. He's going to keep it. He's going to give it to his friends. He's going to give it to any business partner that he wants. He's going to give it to Russia. Who cares? You can't stop him. You can't stop him. It's the sovereign wealth fund. It's the 10% that he got for America. And if he wants to give that to somebody because they kiss his ass, he can. If he wants to just give that to the Secretary of Defense, he can. Nobody can stop him. And there used to be laws in the country, but we don't have laws anymore. Let's look at this dipshit as well. He's going to talk about the same thing.
Okay, so we should expect the U.S. government to be taking more equity stakes in businesses around the country. That is something that if you're a CEO this morning watching us, you should say, okay, the Sovereign Wealth Fund may be coming and trying to effectively buy in some kind of equity stake.
It's possible. Yeah, that's absolutely right.
That's absolutely right. The government's going to buy more companies.
Dang. I was going to use it to rent the new Air Force One at his library in a few years.
Nah. Everything at his library is his too. So if you want to, you can't borrow books at his library. You can only buy them. Because he owns them all, you see. But yes, the Sovereign Wealth Fund, he's going to take your tax money. He's going to take the tariff money, which is a tax. Tariffs are taxes. Tariffs are taxes. Tariffs are taxes. I need every Democrat to fucking say that. Why the fuck aren't they saying that? Why aren't they looking to the damn camera? Tariffs are taxes. You hate taxes. Why are you supporting Donnie when he raises your taxes and calls it a tariff? Probably shouldn't do that, conservatives. But they don't know anything. They're stupid and evil. So he's going to take all that tariff money. He's going to put it in the Sovereign Wealth Fund. And he's just going to spend it any way he feels like, without Congress, without the House dictating and putting rules and laws and regulations on all his shit. No, he doesn't need any of that. He has all the power and authority. And then he will use that to pay the brown shirts that work for him, the ICE Gestapo. He'll use that to pay them if Democrats take over the House and cut their funding. He'll use that to pay them. He'll use it to buy more stuff. He'll use it to buy a plane. He'll use it to refit the plane, even though the government says it's going to be too expensive. He doesn't care. And he'll steal money from other parts of the government, put it in that wealth fund. And that'll be a blip of a story. If he took money from one place, put it into the Sovereign Wealth Fund, that's one day story. Maybe. We'd get an hour of news content out of that. Maybe not. They're not even going to care. Let's keep listening to this, though.
If in the past, the federal government has been giving money away lickety-split to companies.
In exchange for their goods and services, you dumb son of a bitch.
And the taxpayers have received nothing in return.
That's entirely fucking stupid. None of that happened. Christ almighty, you are a liar.
And so now what's happening with the Intel deal is the CHIPS Act money is going out as planned, but instead of it just going out and disappearing into the ether, the U.S. taxpayers are getting a little bit of equity. I can really not see how anyone would think that's a bad thing.
The U.S. taxpayers aren't getting shit. Donnie gets the equity.
Unless you thought that the government was then going to go in and run the company. But these are going to be shares that don't have voting rights. The government's going to stay out of it.
Right, because they don't need to control it. They already gave them all the money. We don't need to control their stuff like that. We're already soft power controlling what they're doing. Donald will use those shares that he now has and give it to his friends, give it to his kids, give it to a Republican senator who gets the bill that he wants passed. He will bribe people. And you won't be able to stop him. No one will. Because the Sovereign Wealth Fund is a big fat slush fund that he just does whatever the fuck he wants to with it.
Well, it goes back a little bit to the Ronald Reagan quote that I started with, which is when, for many, many years, you know, you and I used to have conversations about Solyndra and how I think you thought that was a terrible, terrible mistake for the U.S. government to be getting involved. And we have been exporting the idea of...
Solyndra was when Obama gave certain tax benefits to a company who was going to build solar panels in America. That doesn't sound like a bad thing. That happens literally all the time. But conservatives call that picking winners and losers because they have no ethics. They have no principles. They have no guidelines.
Free market around the world for as long as I can remember, and this is a major shift. Do you not agree?
No, I think this is a very special case of Biden committed the money. President Trump and Howard Lutnick weren't very clear that they wanted to continue to let the money go out because the paths weren't being crossed, the hurdles weren't being crossed. And so
the paths and the hurdles, he's just jibber jabbering, man. He doesn't even know what the fuck he's talking about.
I think it's a very special case. But again, the general principle that if the U.S. government is able to create a situation that benefits everybody, that it should benefit the taxpayers too.
It won't do any of those things. Donald will have it. He'll keep it. And he'll take it with him if he wants. Or he'll give it to a friend. This will not help you. This will not make your life any better. This won't lower your taxes. This won't get more American jobs.
All this dystopian automation and AI could easily give everyone a 10-hour work week in the next decade or so, if it was used for the common good instead of just being used for evil like everything else under capitalism.
I think you're right, and I think that I would want the AI to make our lives better. Do the work that the people don't want to do. Don't do the work we like art and making music and making paintings and shit. People love doing that. Don't use AI for that. Make it do fucking busy work. Make it reply to the emails. Make it fix the problems. Make it do the hard work. Make it do the lawyer work, honestly. If the law is set up properly, it should just be a list of ifs and gates and or gates, honestly. Make the AI do the law. Then have a human being look over it and double check it. But we could abandon all the lawyers, but they're the ones who write the laws, and so they won't do that. But I think you're right. I love the idea, but that would require either that 10 hours of work to pay 4 times as much or some sort of UBI. But even Elon, I think, talks about UBI, but he also refuses to pay taxes and worked with the Doge to destroy the government. So it doesn't make any sense. How are we going to get UBI, Elon, if you've wrecked the government and refuse to pay taxes? He doesn't know what he's talking about because he's a moron. Elon's an idiot. And he wants all of this stuff to happen, but he doesn't want to do the work to make it happen. He wants magic, but he doesn't want to work to figure out all the steps to get to the magic, you know? He wants rocket ships from Los Angeles to New York, but he never did any of the logistics to figure out how that would work. Somebody did the logistics, and it's fucking nightmarish. It's awful. It would be so much worse than what we have now with the planes. Then, he wants UBI, but he's like, everybody will just have it. Some company going to pay you for 10 hours of work?
Billionaires only care about getting richer.
Right. And that is the part of the capitalist hellscape that we live in. I wish we should tax them more. I mean, I'm not even hiding that fact. We should tax them. And the profit, not the tariffs, after on the profit. Tax the profit. Tax them. Wealth tax, yes.
Billionaire is a mental illness.
And these guys are only going to make it worse with their buying of with their stuff. Is this socialism? Now you're going to hear that on the line. Oh, Donnie's doing socialism. No.
Start with just actually taxing them, and then we should probably do it more.
Right. Tax them now, then tax them some more. And that would pay for the UBI, honestly. And everybody would be better off. But is this socialism? No. Socialism is when the people own the means of production, not Donnie, because this guy is lying his ass off to you. He's saying that the American people own it. He's a liar. Okay? Donald owns that. Donnie owns it. And he will do with it whatever he wants. He's not going to do anything to help you. He's not going to help your life. He's not going to help your community. He's not going to force those jobs to come to America. No. He's going to turn a profit. He's going to sell those shares when it's the most profitable for him, or he's going to give them away to someone else who will. And that'll benefit him somehow. This is not to help you. So it's not socialism. It's nationalism, sure. So it's national socialism. Has anybody used that term? Is anybody using that term right now? Maybe that's what we should call it. National socialism. Maybe that could catch on. Maybe. But it's more like Leninism and not Marxism. And I know this is going to scare away all the normies, and I can already see you all running away because I'm talking about Marxism again. But Marxism is good, Leninism is bad. Donnie's doing some Leninism now, and that's bad. He's doing some Stalinism, some Maoism, where you just force the companies to do what the government tells them and force the government to own parts of it.
Things like a 401k are the crumbs the owning class will throw us, so we'll defend the system that allows those who own almost everything to extract most the value of our labor.
Absolutely. And then they will bankrupt those systems, and you'll be left with nothing, and they will get paid. 401ks are usually okay in normal times, but if it comes down to a billionaire losing a percentage or stealing your 401k, they'll steal your 401k. They will. They'll rewrite the laws. They'll bankrupt something else. They'll short one thing. They'll do some trickery on the books to steal your money to benefit themselves. And there's nothing we can do about it because it's overly complicated. The SEC has no power anymore, and nobody even gives a shit about what they do or what they say or anything like that. The SEC kind of had some teeth, but anybody, and that's a problem because the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, are the people who are supposed to be the Wall Street cops. If you do something wrong on Wall Street, if you do something wrong with your 401ks, if you're a billionaire cheating the system, the SEC is supposed to come after you. But the only people who are capable of running the SEC and doing that kind of research and that kind of investigatory work learn how to cheat the system. And then they don't want to be a GS-12 anymore, making barely above minimum wage. They just go and cheat the system. It's like they're like spies, you just train them to be spies, and they're like, wow, look at all this spy work I can get and make tons of money. I don't mind the government having a stake in businesses, but it would need to be a blanket and actually balance even, it seems, the way the taxing wealthy. One company just incentivizes the government to favor the company. And that is what you were talking about. If it's run properly for the benefit of the people, it's some Marxism, it's some socialism. I think we should do that with health insurance. Nationalize health insurance. Then nationalize.
I don't actually mind the government having a stake in businesses, but it would need to be blanket and actually balanced. Even then, it seems like a way to avoid taxing the wealthy. One company just incentivizes the government to favor that company.
The robot lady loves to troll me. She does. We also need government-run grocery stores. I would maybe. Gamer Jam, follow me here. We got a baby step to these things. Baby step. Everybody hates healthcare as it exists now. The billionaires are raking in the money. Everybody hates it. Luigi shot a guy who was in charge of a health insurance company, and most of the country cheered. Okay, so everybody hates that. You got to start there. Saint Luigi of Mangione is a hero to the proletariat, and that's why we have to start there. Health insurance, everybody hates it. We nationalize that. Then you nationalize the prescription medicines themselves. Set up a government, contract a government R&D department that hires all the chemists who want to do the work. And then the companies go fuck themselves. You're out. Sorry, boss. We'll produce it ourselves.
Mamdani is the cure.
Mamdani is a good idea. I like what he has, and I like the idea of the run grocery stores. It's going to take a little bit more time. You have to get everybody on board for these first couple of steps first. Once they're happy with the other two, then you can do grocery stores. Then you can do housing reform. And I don't know if I haven't talked about it lately. I talked about it a few times on stream before, but socialized housing for everyone. And this is a very long way off. This is not something we do next year. But Evil King Waldo were in charge of the entire government for a few minutes, for a few decades. I would say that starting at like January 1st of 2030, the only entity you're allowed to sell a house to is the government. I own this house. I am paying a mortgage for this house. But if I wanted to sell it after that date, the only person I could sell it to is the government. then we would set up an entirely complicated system of where you live, what your job is, how much you pay the government for that mortgage, and you pay them. You pay the government for the house. And then they use that to upkeep. They use that to not as profit, but to upkeep the house and to get other people involved and to pay the people who are putting people in the houses where they need. If you don't want to be a part of that, don't sell your house, And if the companies that are just making money bouncing houses back and forth would go out of business, and that would be okay with me because they're shit. But this is very complicated, very long term, very next generation kind of a thing. So yeah, I don't like any of this.
The Intel buy kinda helps Mandanese groceries in a cynical way.
Well, maybe I could see him using that as a reason, but he's doing it to help the people, to make the people's lives better. The block by block grocery stores in New York are a much different entity than Intel making microchips aren't they made in Hong Kong? It's an American company, but they make them over in Singapore or some shit. And then now they're selling them to China because they weren't allowed to sell them to China. Intel wasn't allowed by American law to sell them to China. And now they are because they bribed Donald Trump. The man just loves bribes. He loves being paid for shit he didn't do. He wedged himself into the seat of authority, and to get anything that you want, you have to pay him. That's just how the government works now.
If he just texts about it in all caps, Mega might think he's cool XD.
Who, Mamdani? He could do the trolling bit that Gavin's doing too. No, Mamdani's pretty good about his campaign. He's putting out the banger TikToks. I don't know if you've ever seen any of them, but they're pretty good. Oh, what the hell is this? In an attempt to expand the use of troops domestically, Trump issues new executive orders. Oh, good. Oh, great. Let's see. President Donald Trump signed an executive order on Monday that would expand the scope of the military's operations in Washington, D.C. Trump is directing Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to immediately create a specialized unit within the D.C. National Guard that is dedicated to ensuring public safety and order in the nation's capital. This is unconstitutional. This is bad. This is awful. This is police state shit. This is authoritarianism. The order also directs Hegseth and the heads of the other federal agencies to deputize the members of this unit to enforce federal law. So they're going to be policemen now. Police state. Army police in the streets. This is everything Alex Jones warned us about. Except he said Obama was going to do it. And you know what didn't happen? Obama never did any of it. Alex, I think you were a liar. I think you were wrong. That order seems to run counter to the Posse Comitatus Act. Yep, of course. However, the order references Title 32 of the United States Code, which Janessa Goldbeck of the Vet Force Foundation argues is an attempted end around of the law. Make no mistake, this is a workaround of the Insurrection Act. Instead of bearing the political and legal costs of invoking it, Trump is preparing to use Title 32 as a backdoor to deploy friendly state guards as his personal police force, cross state lines into communities that do not want them there with full law enforcement powers. Yeah, this is going to suck and it's going to be awful. The order also directs Hegseth to prepare the National Guard units in each state to be ready to assist federal, state, and local law enforcement in quelling civil disturbances and ensuring the public safety and order whenever the circumstances necessitate. An appropriate number of each state's guardsmen are reasonably available for rapid mobilization. This means they will crack down on you if you try to protest. If you put together a protest, they will harm you. They will shut you down. The National Guard will come there and hurt you. This provision would seem to presage a widespread deployment of federal troops across the country. Trump has mused publicly about declaring a federal crime emergency in other cities, all in the states run by Democrats, most recently saying they would like to repeat this in D.C. actions in Chicago. And we have good old Pritzker here. Let's listen to what Pritzker has to say.
Here in Chicago, our civilian police force and elected leaders work every day to combat crime and to improve public safety. And it's working. Not one person here today will claim we have solved all crime in Chicago. nor can that be said of any major American metro area. But calling the military into a U.S. city to invade our streets and neighborhoods and disrupt the lives of everyday people is an extraordinary action, and it should require extraordinary justification. Look around you right now. Does this look like an emergency? Look at this. Go talk to the people of Chicago who are enjoying a gorgeous afternoon in this city. Ask the families buying ice cream on the Riverwalk. Go see the students who are at the beach after school. Talk to the workers that I just met taking the water taxi to get here. Find a family who's enjoying today sitting on their front porch and ask if they want their neighborhoods turned into a war zone by a wannabe dictator.
Well, this is good language.
If they'd like to pass through a checkpoint with unidentified officers in masks while taking their kids to school.
Good language. Keep it up.
Crime is a reality we all face in this country. Public safety has been among our highest priorities since taking office. We have hired more police and given them more funding.
Not such good
We banned
language.
assault weapons, ghost
Not
guns,
good language.
bump stocks, and high-capacity magazines. We invested historic amounts into community violence intervention programs. We listened to our local communities, to the people who live and work in the places that are most affected by crime, and asked them what they needed to help make their neighborhoods safer.
I don't like it when Dems talk like this because they just sound like Republican light. They sound like just instead of hard, solid ruby red, they're kind of a pink color. You see, and why would you ever vote for the pink color if you could have the hard red? Why would you vote for a light Republican when you could just have the real Republicans? This is not the way Dems ought to be talking about crime.
Started solid and then libbied out at the end.
Yeah, he lived out. Yeah, you're right.
Those strategies have been working. Crime is dropping in Chicago. Murders are down 32% compared to last year and nearly cut in half since 2021. Shootings are down 37% since last year and 57% from 4 years ago. Robberies are down 34% year over year. Burglaries down 21%. Motor vehicle thefts down 26%. So in case there was any doubt as to the motivation behind Trump's military occupations, take note. 13 of the top 20 cities in homicide rate have Republican governors. None of these cities is Chicago. 8 of the top 10 states with the highest homicide rates are led by Republicans. None of those states
it's okay
is
language.
Illinois. Memphis, Tennessee, Hattiesburg, Mississippi have higher crime rates than Chicago, and yet Donald Trump is sending troops here and not there? Ask yourself why. If Donald Trump was actually serious about fighting crime in cities like Chicago, he, along with his congressional Republicans, would not be cutting over $800 million in public safety and crime prevention grants nationally, including cutting $158 million in funding to Illinois for violence prevention programs that deploy trained outreach workers to de-escalate conflict on our streets. Cutting $71 million in law enforcement grants to Illinois, direct money for police departments through programs like Project Safe Neighborhoods, the state and local anti-terrorism training program, and the Rural Violent Crime Reduction Initiative. Cutting $137 million in child protection measures in Illinois that protect our kids against abuse and neglect. Trump is defunding the police.
That's
To
a
the
good
members
line.
of the press who are assembled here
Short,
today
pithy, correct?
and listening across the country, I am asking for your courage to tell it like it is. This is not a time to pretend here that there are two sides to this story. This is not a time to fall back into the reflexive crouch that I so often see, where the authoritarian creep by this administration is ignored in favor of some horse race piece on who will be helped politically by the president's actions.
Complain about the media. Good call.
Donald Trump wants to use the military to occupy a U.S. city, punish his dissidents, and score political points. If this were happening in any other country, we would have no trouble calling it what it is, a dangerous power grab. Look at the people assembled before you today, behind me. This is a full cross-section of Chicago's leaders from the business world, the faith community, law enforcement, education, community organizations, and more. We sometimes disagree on how to effectively solve the many challenges that our state and our city face on a daily basis. But today we are standing here united, in public, in front of the cameras, unafraid to tell the president that his proposed actions will make our jobs harder and the lives of our residents worse. Earlier today in the Oval Office, Donald Trump looked at the assembled cameras and asked for me personally to say, "Mr. President, can you do us the honor of protecting our city?" Instead, I say, "Mr. President, do not come to Chicago."
Do not come.
You are neither wanted here nor needed here. Your remarks about this effort over the last several weeks have betrayed
we can't always pick our brick-like allies.
Your mental faculties
Live on Queen.
and are not fit for the auspicious office that you occupy. Most alarming, you seem to lack any appropriate concern as our commander-in-chief for the members of the military that you would so callously deploy as pawns in your
I think this is a good line too.
Alarming grabs for power.
Because I've said the same thing.
As a governor,
he wants them to get
I've
hurt.
had to make the decision in the past to call up members of the National Guard into active service. And I think it's worth taking a moment to reflect on how seriously I take that responsibility and on the many things that I consider before asking these brave men and women to leave their homes and their communities to serve in any capacity for us. As I've said many times in the past, members of the National Guard are not trained to serve as law enforcement. They are trained for the battlefield, and they're good at it. They're not trained to arrest people and read them their Miranda rights. They did not sign
They will
up
be if they're
for the National Guard
deputized
to fight crime. And when we call them into service, we are reaching into local communities and taking people who have jobs and families away from their neighborhoods and the people who rely upon them. It is insulting to their integrity and to the extraordinary sacrifices that they make to serve in the Guard, to use them as a political prop where they could be put in situations where they will be at odds with their local communities, the ones that they seek to serve.
And I think that's a good line, too. I like the way that he's pushing that. I said the same thing myself. I don't want the National Guard to be there to get shot. That's what they're for. They're tripwire troops. It's an insult, usually, for the ones in South Korea, tripwire troops. You're the troops in South Korea are only there.
F that. He should call Illinois NG to defend Chicago. Eventually has to be stand.
He's doing, if he thinks, and I've heard some musing, some people that are putting some things together and looking at the way the things are going. He's putting all the state police in front of the National Guard if they show up. If Donnie does send the National Guard to Illinois, he will put the state police in front of them. And then they will have a little bit of a standoff and things get tense a little bit. And we'll watch that and it'll be a good time. But the National Guard are American people. They don't want to be here. They don't want to be doing it. They are just following their orders. And then the National Guard, the leaders of the National Guard are going to have to tell Trump no. That's what is going to have to happen. They're going to have to tell him no, we're not doing that. And then he'll piss and moan and he'll scream and bluster and he'll fire a few of them, maybe. But it'll be worth it. That's just nonsense, guy. I think Pritzker's doing a good thing. He's going to put the state police in front of them, and I think that'll be fine. And maybe it'll go away. Maybe it'll be fine. Maybe nothing will go wrong. But if they do roll into Illinois, I think we should watch it. I think it'll be a big deal. I think it should be something that we pay attention to. It will be a big, big deal. Let's see. What else do we have? Oh, in D.C., a heated standoff between police neighbors show
we just
unease.
get activated?
We did just get activated. That might be your activation. That could be the activation code for somebody. So I should read it. King Charles and Donald Trump have been billed for 33 decillion. See Julie Blessings, for Bleskin, all MPs, judges, solicitors, police, doctors, media, celebrity farmers, living man bills per person. So that might have activated some winter soldiers out there. I hope you're not one of them, because I need all the views I can get. Don't go do your winter soldier assassination until after my stream stops, please. Jeez, come on, show some respect. Yeah, in DC, heated standoff between police neighborhood shows unease amid Trump's
Lincoln
enforcement surge. I'm glad you got her to do the pauses there. That's nice. What the hell are we doing? Okay, so here's a lovely photo of people standing against the National Guard. The street is normally quiet. It was abuzz. The block lit up with flashing police cruisers and officers in tactical vests. Some had covered their faces. Neighbors came out of their homes.
K. John Lennon.
Some hurled insults at the police, telling them to leave or worse. Dozens joined the chant, "Shame on you." Aaron Goldstein approached the two officers. "Can you tell me why you couldn't do this at 10:30 or 9:30, and why you had to terrorize the children in our neighborhood?" The man asked the officers. They turned their gazes away from him. Both wore dark sunglasses in the morning sun. They said nothing. The arrest shattered the routine of the neighborhood around Bancroft Elementary School, a public school where more than 60% of the students are Latino. It came on the third day of the new school year, and immigration fears had already left the neighborhood on edge. Groups of residents had started escorting students to school from nearby apartment complexes. Yeah, so they're out here just harassing people for no good reason. Was one confrontation among many. And this is exactly what we need to be doing. We need to be telling them to go away. We need to be watching them. We need to be standing in the road, shaming them, videotaping them. This is exactly the right thing to do. Even if it's ICE, even if it's an actual immigrant, we don't accept the ICE dragging people off, because they're putting them into Gestapo. They're putting them into concentration camps, and that's not acceptable. Even if they're illegal aliens, they don't deserve to go to concentration camps. Not okay. Okay. So I talked about this the other day.
It isn't even a protest. It's just the people coming outside and saying no.
Yeah, absolutely. They're just like, dude, stop harming us. Stop hurting the people. Stop doing it. They didn't organize that. They just said, hey, why the hell are you hurting people? Stop. I talked about this the other day as well, but the rainbow, crosswalk in Florida, they painted it years ago. It got repainted by DeSantis like a week ago. Then they colored it in again. And now the police are sitting there after it's been painted black again to stop people from putting the colors in. Bo is being a brat. I've already had him twice. You can take him. Bobo's being a brat tonight. Moth. Okay, anyway. The police are just staking the place out. The situation in Florida is growing more tense with the erasure of pride crosswalks after state officials painted over the Pulse Memorial sidewalk in Orlando,
Bobo
Florida.
Hates the suppression of minorities.
He does. He really does. Florida citizens painted the back. Now the state has set 7 squad cars to stare at the crosswalk. They're just staring, waiting for people to show up with paint or colored chalk to hassle them, to arrest them, to stop them from doing it. This is requiring 7 cop cars to prevent. Jesus Christ, y'all. Fucking just get over it. They're gay people. It's okay. If you see some colors, you'll get over it. You'll be fine. I promise. But they hate them. They hate them. Ron DeSantis hates gay people. Donald Trump hates gay people. Most of the cops in Florida hate gay people. And letting them be out and about in public, they hate that. So don't let them out in public. Don't let them fly the flags.
They should just be guerrilla painting rainbows. For legal reasons, I would never do that.
Absolutely. What they should do is stand near these 7 cop cars with chalk in their hands, but don't do anything. Just stand there. Coordinate to, what's the word for, when you do it at the same time. And at the same time, as they're standing there with the chalk in their hands doing nothing, 7 other crosswalks get painted in the general area, you know? So all the cops are looking at this one, and you do 10 more behind their backs. That is civil disobedience, and it ought to be done. And it would be good. And I would cheer for it, and I would laugh, and I would clap, and I would say that it's a good thing. Then there was, I think this is a video.
Having the police sit and watch over us is a sign of the times. It's unsettling, but it is sadly becoming the new normal.
A shot of cops arresting a bunch of college kids with fists full of rainbow chalk would be a hell of a statement.
Yeah, it would.
To be removed.
So yeah, they're just hassling people as they try and do it.
It's sad that we're in a position where state resources are being used to enforce colors on a road. You know, you got potholes to fix, you got real crime to go after.
So ultimately, it's a safety issue.
No, the fuck it isn't a safety issue.
We don't want people getting hit because they're down on their knees.
You don't want people getting hit. Okay, well, quit painting over it with black. Quit doing that. They painted it once, and it was fine. It wasn't a safety issue. It got painted black. Then it got painted again with the rainbows. Then it got painted black again. And now there's people out there putting the rainbows back on it. Quit doing it, and they'll quit showing up. I swear, dude, these fucking fascists don't know that they are the thing that the people are trying to fight against. This cop doesn't know that he is propping up the unsafe system. He is the reason it is unsafe. If you send troops to Los Angeles, then the protests start. Don't send the troops. If you send troops to Chicago, then the violence will start. Don't send the troops. It'll prevent all the violence. They can't comprehend that, though. They need the violence. They want the violence. They want these people to be hurt because they hate them. Trump extends control over Washington by taking management of Union Station away from Amtrak. So they're taking more stuff away. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy.
Paint the world rainbow, baby.
Yeah, the whole world. All of it. Rainbow everywhere. Constantly. Just to make them feel sad. Duffy said that the station had fallen into disrepair. See, there's more of this bullshit. More of this lying shit sack. Oh, it's for safety. It's fallen into disrepair. Well, it used to be a point of pride, but now it looks bad. Lying shit stains.
But how can I look like a strong man if I don't send the troops?
We got all these troops. You got to do something with them, I suppose. He wants Union Station to be beautiful again. He wants transit to be safe again. And he wants our nation's capital to be great again. And as part of that. So they're just taking more stuff that they can slightly say that that's a part
Trump
of the government.
Should try to bench 135.
That would make him look good. So Amtrak is a thing that they might kind of almost control. Amtrak is like a half government, half company kind of a thing. So they're taking control of it. What the hell else? Okay. I do want to talk about this one. This is interesting. You probably saw this. Let's go. Let's start off with forgiving Joe Biden somehow. So let's start with that.
About nothing. That means that all those pardons that he gave to some very bad people, very unpatriotic people, very evil people, it looks to me like those pardons are worthless.
He's talking about the auto pen again because he has only like 5 things in his head, and Biden's auto pen is one of those 5 things. He thinks that Biden was so insanely senile that he didn't know what he was signing. He was just a doddering old monster or not even a monster. He's just a vegetable. And they used the auto pen to get all their friends out of jail. Nonsense. That's fucking stupid. But he's fucking stupid. So.
Because number one, you shouldn't use an auto pen very specifically. But if you do,
auto pen's fine. This guy, Donald Trump, used auto pens like a dozen times in his first term, and nothing went wrong. Everything went wrong, but he used it himself. He's just fucking conspiratorial brained.
it has to be a very good reason, and they have to know that the president wanted it. The president didn't want this. The president didn't know he was alive, okay? He never approved any of this stuff. He wasn't for open borders and all the other things. He was never for open borders. I've known Biden a long time. He was never very sharp, but he was never in favor of open borders and all.
Because they didn't exist, Donnie, my man. You're getting your lies confused. Biden wasn't for open borders because we didn't have open borders. We never have, Donnie, you fucking buffoon. You lying shit sack. None of the things that you say are correct or true or real. And so, like, he also wasn't for all the nuclear bombs we dropped on Belarus, He wasn't for that because it didn't fucking happen, Like, he's just making shit up.
Yes. A beautiful sunset.
Such a beautiful sunset, and he's so full of shit that he doesn't know which lines he's crossing or which lies he's stepping on. So that's all about Biden. But he's actually, the reason I brought this up was about the flag burning stuff.
All of the other things he did to destroy our country. Let's go.
Lastly, sir, this is an executive order on flag burning. It charges your attorney general.
Would you listen to this? This is very important.
This is very
flag
important.
Burning. All over the country, they're burning flags.
No, the fuck they're not. Where? When? I watch the news every day and I haven't seen any. I check all of the leftist places and they're not doing that. Nobody's doing that, Donnie. Nobody's doing that until you tell them not to. Because we're going to watch a guy do it in a couple of minutes because you told him he wasn't allowed to. That's how America works, boss. But yeah, nobody's burning flags all over the country. He's so full of shit. He's just making shit up. And his fans love it.
All over the world, they burn the American flag. And as you know, through a very sad court, I guess it was a 5-4 decision, they called it freedom of speech. But there's another reason, which is perhaps much more important. It's called death.
Death. Death. Because of all the people that die when you burn a flag?
Because what happens when you burn a flag is the area goes crazy. If you have hundreds of people, they go crazy. You can do other things. You can burn this piece of paper.
They all go crazy.
But when you burn the American flag, it incites riots.
It incites riots.
At levels that we've never seen before. People go crazy. In a way, both ways. There are some that are going crazy for doing it. There are others that are angry about them doing it.
It's true. I used 50 flags to barbecue mutton while I was reading my Marxist propaganda.
And you started an entire riot. Thousands of people died because of your barbecue. I remember this. It was in the news. Don't you guys remember? All those news stories of all the giant super riots that you've seen over the past couple of weeks? No, that didn't happen. You don't remember that because it hasn't happened. Donnie, find me one riot started by the fucking burning of a flag.
And the mutton was bad too.
Oh no, that's too bad. What's in the smoke? Should be concerned about what they put in them. Yeah, maybe. None of this is happening. None of this is happening. This is his usual misunderstand, delusion, fear, MDF. He misunderstands why it is free speech. He creates a delusion of hundreds of flags being burned across the country. That's not happening. He's creating a delusion. The fact that people are going crazy and starting riots because of this isn't happening anywhere. It's a delusion. And now he's spreading fear to his followers because they think it's real. They remember hearing something about it. It's that old trick, that old joke that you can hey, you remember that plane crash in Denver? And somebody will be like, yeah, I remember that from a couple of years ago. There's no plane crashes in Denver. I just made it up. You can just trick people. If you say it in the right way, they'll believe you. And that's what his fans do. That's what they want. They can just be like, "Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that riot that happened a couple of months ago about the burned flag. Yeah, that totally happened. In the conservative imagination, that happened." But let's keep going.
Do you want to discuss that?
Sure. So what the executive order does, sir, it charges your Department of Justice with investigating instances of flag burning.
Now, very important. What did that guy say? This is important. This is going to come back on. This is going to be on the test. Investigating instances of flag burning.
And then where there's evidence of criminal activity, where prosecution wouldn't fall afoul of the First Amendment, and instructs the Department of Justice to prosecute those who are engaged in these instances of flag burning.
So, if you burn
in
the
real
flag,
life, when there are protests, sometimes they burn a flag and later it's declared a riot.
I possibly, but that's not causing it. This isn't some sort of magic spell that causes a riot. You can't just start the fire and then everybody's like, riot, roar. It's like throwing a chair, Will. It's the old Boondocks joke that if somebody throws a chair, all of a sudden it starts a riot. It's not a magic spell. And they're not magical. They're just pieces of cloth that you have feelings towards. But those feelings must be respected. Donnie will not allow you to have feelings that are different than his about that cloth square, that cloth rectangle. Not allowed. You must have the proper feelings. Facts are that it's just a rectangle of fabric. But you feel, the conservatives feel so strongly about it that you are not allowed to disrespect it. They have put their feelings over facts, again, as they always, always, always have. And always will. But yeah, the guy, did you hear what he said? Did you hear specifically what he said? If you burn the flag, we're allowed to investigate you and find any crimes that you've committed. That's it. That is the extent of what this law says. That's what's written down. I'm going to read the damn thing here in just a minute, and that's all it says. If I burn the flag, the DOJ is now allowed to investigate me for any crimes that I might have done. So they might find a parking ticket. They might find a speeding ticket. They might find the time I pirated a bunch of stuff from the New York Times. And then they can prosecute me for those. But not the flag. Not the burning flag. No, that's not a crime. The guy even said so.
I know it doesn't matter anymore, but that's illegal under the Constitution.
That is still illegal. I think that is and
this.
should still be illegal. I think that ought to still be illegal. You're still, but that is all this thing is saying, because they think that's not against the First Amendment, and I agree that it is, absolutely. If you do a free thing you're free to do, and then they investigate you because of it, they're taking away that freedom. But it's not what Donnie's about to say, because Donnie is about to go off the fucking rails.
And what the penalty is going to be, if you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail.
None of that is in the law.
No early...
The law he is about to sign does not say that.
Exits, no nothing. You get 1 year in jail. If you burn a flag, you get... And what it does is incite to riot. I hope they use that language, by the way. Did they?
Yeah,
incite to riot. And you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail.
No, you don't. Like, literally, it's right here. I read through it. It does not say that. He does not know what he's signing. He's too stupid, too old, too senile, and the people around him are feeding him bullshit. They're lying right to him, or he's just delusioning it up himself, creating his own delusions of 1 year in jail for... burning a flag. It's not true.
It's not a law, it's an executive rambling.
It's an executive rambling. He's just saying shit. He's just saying shit that isn't attached to reality in any way. It's not in this law right here. I read through the damn thing. Doesn't say anything about it getting a year. It just says that they're allowed to investigate you. Prioritize the enforcement to the fullest extent possible national, criminal, civil laws against the acts of American flag, desecration, violate, while causing harm unrelated to expression, consent to the First Amendment. This may include, but not limited to, violent crimes, hate crimes, illegal discrimination against American citizens, or something like that. If you do other crimes related to that, they'll get you for that. But it doesn't say anything about staying in there for a year. It doesn't. And he is too stupid and senile to know that. Let's drive literal time backward by 1 minute and listen to what he has to say about Biden.
About nothing. That means that all those pardons that he gave to some very bad people, very unpatriotic people, very evil people, it looks to me like those pardons are worthless. Because, number one, you shouldn't use an auto pen, very specifically. But if you do, it has to be a very good reason. And they have to know that the president wanted it. The president didn't want this. The president didn't know he was alive, okay?
The president didn't know he was alive, you guys. He doesn't even know what he's signing. And he complains, he cries, he screams about Joe Biden not knowing what he was signing while he lies to you, misunderstands his own fucking executive orders. It's amazing. I fucking wish that this was a TV show. This has got to be. You ever feel like you're living in some sort of weird fictional universe? It's an old Stephen King kind of a trope. He wrote about it when he was writing things. There's no such thing as a human imagination. It's just that your brain kind of tunes into a different universe and then you just see what's there. And you and I are just living through some weird fucking fictional universe that somebody else is writing. You know, all universes are correct, and I'm doing a bad job explaining it. But basically, the idea is that there's a multiverse for eternity, and somebody else wrote a really good story.
Trump's too manly to need an auto pen to sign things he hasn't read. He can do that all by himself.
Yeah, what difference does it fucking make? This guy is literally signing things that he hasn't read in person without the auto pen. What's the fucking difference? You've proven that you didn't read it. You've proven that the people around you are lying to you, or you're too stupid to comprehend what the hell is going on. Let's watch a guy burn a flag.
There's a First Amendment right to burn the American flag.
I know that I'm living in Trump's head right now, and I love it. He is just fuming. I did it right in front of his house.
That's Jay Carey setting fire to an American flag at Lafayette Park across from the White House last night. It was a little after 6 p.m. Carey, a combat veteran from North Carolina who spent more than 20 years in the U.S. Army, was detained by the Secret Service and then the U.S. Park Police. Issued 2 citations, not for burning the flag, but for setting fire in an unsecured place and for damaging park property. His Army veteran friend who recorded the incident later shared on TikTok a video of Carey after he was released from custody about 4 hours later. We spoke to both men here at Union Station this afternoon.
It wasn't a matter of disrespecting the flag. I'm a veteran. I fought under that flag, with that flag, for that flag. It's a matter of protesting against what the president was putting out in an executive order because he feels he can do anything that he wants, and that's just not the case.
And when we have a constitution and then hundreds of years of Supreme Court jurisprudence saying that birthright citizenship is a thing, you can't stroke that away with a pen. Saying that First Amendment is a thing, you can't stroke that away with a pen. But that's what he's doing. And so we've just reached a point, veterans and non-veterans alike, have reached a point where we're not going to take it any longer.
President Trump signed an executive order at the White House Monday, which he says would require an automatic 1-year jail sentence for anybody who burns an American flag. But that's at odds with the ruling from the Supreme Court 36 years ago that declared flag burning an act of free speech protected by the First Amendment.
What I'm waiting on is our illustrious D.C. prosecutor to bring up charges. at the behest of our president.
And say you need to spend a year in jail.
Need to spend a year in jail, not 10 years, not 10 months, 1 year. And it's ridiculous. And I want that challenge. I welcome that challenge. I already have the lawyer that defended that gentleman back in 1989 about the burn. She's already stepped up to be my lawyer.
For now, Jay says he'll come back here at a future date to take care of those 2 citations. And in the meantime...
If burning flags is illegal, burning flags is a duty.
Right, absolutely. But this is private property, and you started an uncontrolled fire, so he got 2 small citations for that, and he will come back and pay those citations. But that's what civil disobedience is supposed to be. When they tell you can't do the thing, you tell them, yes, I can. You tell them that is absolutely something I can do. If he were on private property, I don't think they could have stopped him. If you are on your own private property and it is your private property, you can burn that flag. Your neighbors might not like it. They might get mad at you, but you might get a citation for burning things that you're not allowed to burn in your yard or something like that. But the government can't come after you for that. And they shouldn't come after you for that. But it makes conservatives feel bad. They don't like it. It makes them feel bad. And when the conservatives feel bad, the government has to hurt you. That is conservatism. That is where they are now. They don't care about what is legal or what is constitutional. They care about their feelings. Donald Trump isn't a liar, obviously. Anybody willing to Google knows that he is a liar. The MAGA faithful, however, like that he's lying. They want those tasty, tasty lies. They spread the lies among themselves, among their own echo chambers. They regurgitate them into each other's mouths. They vomit Donald Trump's lies into each other's mouths and ears. It's very gross. And if you come near them, they'll spout them at you. They'll tell you all kinds of bullshit. Donald stopped 10 wars. 0 people have crossed the border. He lowered egg prices. He's lowering drug prices by 1,500%. He won in 2020. He defends free speech. He unwoked the schools. He lowered gas prices. All lies. They can be proven to be lies if you want to look up the facts. But MAGA faithful don't want to look up facts. No. They want short, pithy, thought-terminating cliches so that they don't have to think. They don't want to think. They want to believe. Belief is powerful. It's indisputable. It's intrinsic to their very identity. And if you attack someone for their beliefs, you are considered a bad guy, an evil monster. How dare you tell someone their beliefs are wrong? If you tell someone in America that their beliefs are wrong, they might kill you. Especially conservative. They might shoot you for telling them their beliefs are wrong. They don't like that. That is the most important thing to them. That is the most important thing in America. Belief. And I think that's a mistake. I think that's a mistake. You see the difference. I don't have any beliefs. I try not to have any beliefs. Have thoughts. Have opinions. Those can change with new information. If I got new information about Donald Trump, I could take that in. I don't have any beliefs about him. I have many opinions. I have a lot of thoughts. And I can change those opinions. I can change those thoughts based on the new, solid information. Beliefs don't change. Beliefs are a part of your identity. They are intertwined with you and your sense of being. Beliefs are a weakness that someone else will exploit to harm you. If you have any beliefs, someone wants to use them to exploit you. Stop having them. They are a weakness. And you'll be a much better person if you don't have them. You can still have opinions. You can still have thoughts. And maybe you can change those opinions and thoughts when new information comes up. What else is going on tonight? Alligator Alcatraz is going to be closed. And not because it was a fucking concentration camp, not because it was a disgusting human rights violation, but for some bullshit, soft environmental reason. And that makes me sad. I wish we could have shut it down because it's fucking morally disgusting. And it's a nightmare for human rights. But now we're closing it because of an environmental thing. Let's see. Where was it? I swear it was down here somewheres. Yeah. The environmental groups and the Muscogee tribe had argued that in their lawsuit, the further construction of the operations should be stopped until federal and state officials complied with the federal environmental laws. So yeah, environmental laws. Not because it's fucking abhorrent, but because of environmental laws. And as soon as they strike down those laws, they'll be back. It'll be fine. Ugh. What was this one? Trump strangling the life out of DC's restaurants. Yeah, that's obvious because he's a super liar. He knows that he's lying, but he doesn't care. Let's see. The people in the restaurant industry are talking about how he's harming them because nobody wants to go out because of all the fucking troops on the street. And the Gestapo that's running around, maybe arresting people, hassling people, asking them for their papers. And so now human beings don't want to go outside. They don't want to go to restaurants. And the restaurants are like, dude, we're losing money. And he's like, and then he goes on TV and he tells you that restaurants have never been better because he's a liar. And his fans know he's a liar. They like it when he lies to them because those beliefs taste good. Reality tastes like shit. And bullshit is delicious. So they gobble that bullshit up. I'm running out of steam here. Well, okay, here we go. A little bit of a conspiracy news. Here we go. Oops. Trump threatens George Soros and radical left son with Diddy-like federal charges over violent protests. Truth Post calls RICO case against billionaire Democratic funder, which the feds brought against mafia dons like John Gotti in a recent case of the rap mogul Sean Combs. I can't do the voice anymore. I'm sick. She got over a cold. Donald Trump is demanding that the Department of Justice bring rarely used and hard to prove federal racketeering charges against Democratic mega donor George Soros and his son Alex, baselessly claiming they support violent protests. The president took the Truth Social platform on Wednesday to say that the elder Soros and his wonderful radical left son, who is now running his father's Open Society Foundation nonprofit, should be charged with violating the Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act of 1970, law providing for extending criminal penalties. We're not going to allow these lunatics to rip apart America anymore, never giving it so much as a chance to breathe and be free, Trump wrote. The president also said the 95-year-old philanthropist and his group of psychopaths caused great damage to our country. This includes the crazy West Coast friends. Be careful. We're watching you. Thank you for attention to this matter. So, yeah, he's just spouting nonsense about George Soros because it's fun, I guess. I guess it's fun. It's just fun to do sometimes. And I'm going to talk about this next week, probably on Saturday. There was a shooting today, but we don't know too much about them, who did it. But it was an incel who is radicalized online by neo-Nazis and is also a trans person. So the right wing is going nuts over it. Be prepared for the rest of the fucking week. If you watch the news, and I don't suggest you do, it's awful. But the shooting today was done by a trans person who was an incel and a neo-Nazi. Of those three things, which do you think that the right wing and Donald Trump is going to talk about? It's going to be the trans bit. It really is. So it's still a little too early to know how much of that is true, how much of that is bullshit, how much of it is happenstance or hearsay so far. But that is what I'll look at over the next few days, and then we'll talk about it on Saturday. And we'll talk about gun control some more. It'll be fun. Everybody loves that. So come on back on Saturday, and we'll talk about trans issues and gun control and whether or not the transes should have their guns taken away. Because that's probably what's going to happen. That's what the right wing is going to do. They're going to be like, one trans person shot some people. All the transes lose their guns and they all lose their rights. and the 17th white person to shoot a bunch of people. This year is just, we can't do anything about that. We can't do anything about that. That's politics, you see. When white people shoot up a place and you ask for gun control, that's political. You're politicizing it. When a trans person shoots up a place and then we take all the trans people's guns away, that's common sense. See the difference? That's what the conservatives are going to do over the next few days. That's going to be fun to watch. And then maybe we'll talk about it on Saturday. That is it for me tonight. I appreciate everybody's here. Any of it, thanks for being here. Shincinta, thank you very much. Gamer Jam, thanks for coming. If you're still here, if you're still in chat, hit the thumbs up button, hit the follow button, hit the like button, smash the bell, spread some hatred in the comments because YouTube is powered by hatred. And that's it for me tonight. I will be back on Saturday unless the Gestapo kicks in my door and drags me off to the gulag.